Bill, so the global economy really is driven by AI. We're starting to see that with sovereign cloud. What's your vision on that? Because this is where it crosses over to becoming an economy. And we've seen technology is now the market everywhere.
Yeah, I think one of the things that the internet wave brought us was obviously great access to information from anywhere in the world. And we're at a point in time where literally any government anywhere can see what's happening in real time and ask themselves the question, should I be on this wave or not? Is it going to help my country's economic productivity? And I think we've moved from a world where Google could organize the world's information to where those pipes are not just carrying the access to the information, but it's the knowledge distilled from it. So the value of what's carried in those pipes is going up exponentially, and it's able to reach the far reaches of the earth wherever there is access. And I think with that is coming the infrastructure upon which it runs, because it can be carried over pipes far away, but there's latency involved. So data centers, which have been growing like crazy in America, are now getting placed in every region of the world.
What's been the biggest change since last year at Maui? And looking back from last year to here, obviously that's global. We've seen sovereignty. What's in your mind? What's been the biggest change?
I think it's the agents. I think it's last year was all about, what is AI going to do, and why is NVIDIA growing so fast? What's happening with the LLM companies and the training on the inside? And as I listen to all these companies talk now, the productivity in terms of numbers of employee or fixed productivity with a fraction of the employees, every single one of these companies is talking about how, oh my God, we're doing 5 times as much with the same people, or we're doing twice as much with a third of the people. It's mind-blowing and a little uncomfortable with the number of people laid off.
I love the ACTAI vision. We were talking before we came on camera around this, the contribution, the community. Kite surfing has been your love, and now it's a community. You get to do what you love and kind of bring people together. The wind's kicking up early, so they're still giving talks to them. I'm sure the kiters are getting pretty antsy.
Yeah. As soon as the leaves start moving on trees, people are looking out the window.
Talk about the community that's developing. Obviously, you're very humble, and we've talked before about this. You just kind of letting it grow. You're including people. You're very inclusive. How do you view it right now? How do you look at the community, how it's developing? Is it a pinch me moment for you? Is it more, let's keep rolling, don't fight gravity? What's your Bill Ty take on just how this has turned into such a global phenomenon?
I have to say I never expected it, and I never planned it. I was just out there as a tech person wanting to kite every day, and I did. And I think I drew a group of people that were like me, and they happened to be high performers, because I think people in the early phases of this sport had to be a little nutty, a little intense, like entrepreneurs too. And I think the depth of bonding produced this little core of energy that expanded over time to include more people like it. And I think because the sport and because technology are always changing so fast, particularly at the start of the sport, it was both of those, tech and kiting, were things where you couldn't read to learn. You had to talk to somebody, because everything that was happening in the front end was happening so fast it wasn't yet documented. And I think as a result, there's constant communication. And there's a throwback that I think of, which is the Homebrew Computer Club. So if you think about, place yourself back into like the 1979 to 1987 period when that club was active, you had a bunch of kids like a Steve Wozniak taking electronic components and nailing them onto a piece of wood and attaching things to make what would become the Apple computer, and other people building similar things from like Atari, and there was a limited audience. They had to show each other what they were building to get feedback. And so that's what this is, in a way. It's people on the front end working on stuff that hasn't yet materialized, wanting to know what do people think.
It's collaborative.
It is.
It's very communal too, and you're in the water, as you say. It's funny. I founders like always want to make the perfect product because they have these stories that the lore comes out. Oh, Apple computer. If you look at the first Apple computer, it was a wooden box.
It was a piece of wood.
It was a wooden box with a terminal.
Yeah.
It was the ugliest, coolest thing you've ever seen. But the fact that it was a computer, so that's kind of puts puts the reality that you don't have to be the best, have that most polished product.
I tell people that a lot of being a successful entrepreneur is getting into the vortex of information, because until you've launched a product or shown it to people, you don't really know. And then once you have, you figure out all the things that didn't work. And then before you launch your product, you're guessing.
Yeah. And
then once you get into this mode where you have customer requests for features, then literally all you have to do is you list every feature everyone wants and you count them up and you go from the number 1 to number 10 and your roadmap becomes like 1,000 times more efficient because you're not experimenting, you're delivering what people want.
Yeah, and that's the entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is a big part of your life, and you're very passionate about it, and you're now harnessing that entrepreneurship with ACTAI Global. It's a central theme in your life and here in this community. Talk about that dynamic, not just the opportunity, but how that kind of makes it go.
I describe this community to some as it's like we're like a fertilizer bed of humans that have a lot of different superpowers mushed up into this fabric, and a seedling, an entrepreneur with a new idea can drop down in, root a little bit. There's enough people in the community that have also hit it enough that they can fund things, and then that's like the little water that comes down. So you get the fertilizer, the plant, and the rain and the sunshine.
Yeah, and all startups that experiment and don't work out become fertilizer too.
Yeah.
You have Helena here last year. I think she's pivoted 3 times.
Yeah.
And she's now on a bigger opportunity.
Every time
that fertilizer comes in. Great stuff.
Yeah, I think, that's a great example. Like, we have an entrepreneur here this year that was here last year, and she came in with a different company that had been funded, that she had started. She literally stumbled upon an opportunity to tokenize charity here for a charity that we were funding here, and bam, it worked. She had to convince her old venture backers to take their money back so she could then, do this next one.
Yeah.
And that opportunity led to even larger market opportunities with the changes in regulatory environment happening at the SEC with the tokenization of everything.
That's a great entrepreneurial story because it highlights a lot of dimensions. One is the old investors or previous investors, they could say, well, we invested in that script and that's different, so don't do it. That would foreclose that opportunity. And then you have this idea that that's kind of how it works. It's hard.
It was hard for her to go back and say, you know what, you funded me for this, and I think I have a better one. Yeah. And it was a bit of a discussion, with no hard promises for them to come into the next thing. But I think because the relationship is still there, if the new project is something that's appealing, Helena's going to give them an opportunity and something that could be a lot bigger.
Well, smart money will make the right call, back the founder every time. Bill Ty, great to see you again. Thanks for including us again this year. And again, as always, been following all the great work, and everyone's super happy. Thanks.
Well, John, you and crew and Brian at New York Stock Exchange, you guys have been incredibly accretive to the community and every company that you touch. Yeah. And like I said, our little network is this it has network effects of value, and you guys are huge contributors to it. So
and we love to amplify great innovation. Thanks so much for what you do. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, I'm John Furrier with theCUBE. We are here in Maui for ACTAI Global. This is like the signature event on the kite surfing, and the wind is so good. If you like kite surfing or want to try, this is the place to do it. Obviously, it's the best place to learn. Of course, we're going to go hit the water soon. Thanks for watching.